Thomas Skinner was the first person to be kicked off of BBC Strictly Come Dancing, and
A terrorist attack
Israel is committing genocide.
There was a terrorist attack in
Israel is committing genocide.
Do you understand
There is a live genocide.
Do you understand
There
why?
is a live genocide.
Do you understand?
yeah, Shabana Mahmood is cracking down on protesting, but I think it's a Trojan horse. Well, joining me this evening to discuss all of this is political commentator Chloe Dobbs, businessman and activist Adam Brooks, and political commentator Samuel Sweek. And I can't wait to get your reaction from the latest Gary Neville video.
The division that's being created is absolutely disgusting. Mainly created by angry, middle-aged white men.
Well, you might not have guessed it, but Conservative Party conference is underway, and their leader, Kemi Badenoch, kicked things off with her opening speech, which included a pledge to leave the ECHR. Kemi Badenoch also slammed Labour and Reform as two sides of the same coin. Where have I heard that phrase before, I wonder? And claimed that the Tories have learned from their mistakes. But have they really? Or are they just running scared as they plummet further in the polls? Well, GBNews political editor Christopher Hope spoke to Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp earlier today.
With me now at the Conservative Party conference here in Manchester is Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary. Chris Philp, your leaders said today you'll pull out of the ECHR, the European Convention on Human Rights, if you win the next general election. Why such a big gesture to crack the issue of the border?
Well, both our experience in government and this 200-page report you've got here tells us that while still in the ECHR, we simply can't get control of our country's borders. And as far as we Conservatives are concerned, there is no scope for compromising border security. The only way we can get border control established and end Labour's migration crisis is by pulling out. So we are going to do that.
Some might say, why do you need a 180-page legal justification for doing something which you should be doing anyway as a Tory? So they look at the Nigel Farage and think he'll do it, he knows it's right, but the voters don't trust you to know what's right. You've got to get a lawyer to tell you what's right.
Well, the point is, we said to David Wolfson, look, if we want to get control of our borders, kick out foreign criminals, remove every single illegal immigrant who arrives within a week, do we need to leave the ECHR to do that? And he advised us, yes, we do. But there's then a whole load of other issues you need to contend with. There are questions about, do you have a British Bill of Rights? Now, Reform have said, yes, they would have a British Bill of Rights, but the danger of that is judges here in the UK misuse a British Bill of Rights just in the same way that they've misused the ECHR. So our answer to that question is no. We're not going to have a British Bill of Rights. We're going to restore parliamentary sovereignty, where the parliament we elect pass the laws. We want to make sure this works. In the past, we've had politicians who have made promises and not delivered them. We're going to be different, and that's why we have taken the time to make sure that our plan is actually going to work in practice.
And how long will it take to leave the ECHR?
6 months. Give notice 6 months, and we'll do that on day one. We'll do that on day one. Day one of a Conservative government, we'll give notice to come out, and we're doing the work now to go through all of the domestic legislation, asylum, immigration, modern slavery. All of that legislation is going to need changing, but we're going to be ready to make those changes on day one.
This is your borders document here, the plan to end illegal migration. So you leave the ECHR, then this can take place. Until that happens, you can't start removing, for example, 150,000 illegal arrivals here. But it'll be those who arrive illegally, will it? Or would it be, Reform, of course, being going much further than that,
Well, so we want to remove 150,000 people every single year, 750,000 over a parliament, and that will include anyone that arrives here illegally, like on small boat, within a week. No judicial process, no messing around, removed within a week, back to their home country if possible.
And what if they won't take them? What if they won't take them?
Or a safe country like Rwanda if not. Every single foreign criminal needs to be removed, secondly. And thirdly, there are something like 1 million people, maybe more than 1 million, circulating in this country illegally, and they need to be removed as well, because we need to respect our laws and respect our borders.
So they go back to the country they came from. If not, they go to Rwanda or a third country.
Yes,
so you
exactly.
reignite the Rwanda plan.
Exactly, but we're also going to be a lot tougher with countries to make them take back their own nationals by saying if they don't accept back their own nationals, their own citizens, then we will stop issuing visas for people from that country to come here. It's called visa sanctions. If a particular country, country X, says they're not going to take back their citizens, we'll say fine, we're not going to issue visas for anyone else from country X to come here, and they'll pretty soon change their mind. We're also prepared to frankly cancel foreign aid to countries who won't take back their own citizens. We've got to stop messing around. We've got to get serious. And the approach I've described has been working in America this year. President Trump has done these things. It has worked.
So,
6 or 8 months.
the inspiration behind this document is Donald Trump.
I think in part we've seen Donald Trump successfully stopping illegal migration, and yes, some of the ideas that have worked in America have made it into this plan, because we can't mess around anymore.
Chris Philp, thank you for joining us. Chris Philp, of course, he's the shadow Home Secretary for the Tory party.
Yes, well, 337 days later, Kemi Badenoch finally had the epiphany that many of us have come to a long time ago. But do you like this policy? Do you think it's better thought through than Reform UK's mass deportations plan? Well, joining me to discuss all of this is political commentator Chloe Dobbs, businessman and activist Adam Brooks, and political commentator Samuel Sweek. Adam, I'll start with you. Very reminiscent of Donald Trump. We're talking about an ICE-style border force that would be have a £1.6 billion budget, quite a big budget there. Not quite as much as I thought they were going to pledge, actually, but obviously that and so much more. What do you make of it all?
Brilliant interview. Will it happen? No, it won't. I like Chris. I like Robert Jenrick. Would I ever vote for the Tories again? No, I wouldn't. No one I know would vote for the Tories. I haven't met one in months that would vote for them. They're finished along with Labour. The Uni-Party is dead. At the end of the day, people have lost all trust. The reason we're sat here with the problems we have is, one, in part, it started under Tony Blair, but the Conservatives have let millions of people into this country, both legally and illegally. And at the end of the day, they could have changed many laws while they was in power, and they didn't. And they continue to gaslight us and say we're going to get hard on immigration, and record numbers kept coming. So at the end of the day, the reason for that is that the Conservative Party is no longer conservative. We've got a handful of good MPs, and I respect them a lot. But they will not get this through their party, because there's too many wets and too many Lib Dem wannabes in the Conservatives.
Can I ask you, well, we're staying with you just for a second, because obviously Epping, what's been going on there has caused this massive outcry across the country with the illegal migrant hotels. Kemi Badenoch went to outside the Bell Hotel, didn't she?
Yeah.
What was the reception for them like there?
I wasn't there when she was. She actually went to the High Road and spoke to a select few that was in the High Road. Funny enough, I never got the call to go and speak. But at the end of the day, that's great, she did. No one from Labour has come down. But again, they can talk tough, but it's their actions that need to be seen. And the Conservatives didn't back up their tough talk with actions. In fact, they did the opposite in the last Parliament.
Yeah, Chloe, 750,000 people during the lifetime of a Parliament, 150,000 in the first year. That is a big number. That's a big number.
Sounds fantastic, right? But will it happen? Nobody trusts them. The Tories, they can talk the talk, but people don't trust them to walk the walk. They had 14 years and they didn't bother. And I just feel like they are moving so slow. Kemi Badenoch is trying to distinguish herself from Reform and Labour by saying, I don't rush things, I think things through. And they've got this 200-page report from a lawyer to say what all of us know is common sense, that we need to leave the ECHR. It shouldn't have taken them a year to decide that. And people have been waiting for Kemi Badenoch to come out with policies to give us something to tell us what are the Tories going to do. And she's been so slow, such that they're going down and down in the polls. And she's telling her MPs, oh, just hold your horses, it's going to get a bit worse before it gets better because we're taking things slowly. But I feel like there's no coming back from that. What we're seeing, some polls around 15% for the Tories, lower than the Lib Dems.
14% on average, I think it was a week
shocking.
ago.
And the whole Uni-Party added together in some polls is less than Reform.
Yes.
I do think they need some sense of urgency. They're not to completely rush, but it's just been way too slow. And Kemi Badenoch is not impressing anyone consequently.
Yeah, Samuel, I'm not sure you'll be the biggest fan of the Tories anyway, so I think we all might be preaching preaching to the choir tonight. But is there something to be said here? Because, look, at the end of the day, when you look at what's going on with the government, there's still, they managed to deport a handful of people, Kemi Badenoch's pledging to, I think the mathematics say, about over 3,000 people a week, which will be welcome news to many people on the right. These are who the people she needs to win back. Do you think it's just tough talk? And do you think anyone, I'm not saying yourself potentially, but do you think anyone will trust the Conservative Party again on this matter?
Well, no. Well, I think, to be honest with you, I mean, by all accounts, I mean, the Tories could pledge to give everyone in the country £1 million to vote for them, and it wouldn't really hit the economy that hard. No, I think what we're just seeing now, I mean, like Adam kind of raised the point there, is just we're seeing like the parties of old fall by the wayside because people do fundamentally want change. Kemi Badenoch isn't even necessarily offering that. And, you know, Keir Starmer, since he's been in power, hasn't, despite many pledges in the election, hasn't met those pledges at all, hasn't met those promises, and the trust has been eroded. I mean, realistically, Kemi's main aim for now should actually be still trying to be the Tory leader by the next election. I don't see it. I don't think it's going to happen.
Won't be.
No. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, like, you know, the polling is dire. Keir Starmer is, I don't honestly think he's going to be Labour's leader or the Prime Minister come the next election either. I think we are in a very strange time politically, and I think that what we're missing from all of those parties, I include Reform in that as well, is the offer of genuine hope and real change for people. I think people are turning to Reform because what they have is a sleeker operation than Labour and the Conservatives, but they're offering fundamentally the same thing. A few like tweaks here and there, but fundamentally the same thing, and I think people are done with that.
Let's do a bit of balance here. Let's give the Tories some credit. They have been around for 300 years. In some way or another, they have survived so much more than this last election defeat. Are we writing them off too quickly here? Because many criticisms of Reform UK, many people say, at least online, they say, well, it's going to implode. There's too many big egos, and they're all going to crumple in on each other. And actually, who will emerge? Kemi Badenoch said today, "Should give me time, I'll be proven right." Well, we all have egg on our face.
No, look, this is a party that got rid of two leaders that their membership wanted and the people wanted. So why should we trust them at the end of the day? And again, I keep going back to this, is their party as a whole is an establishment party. So at the end of the day, the establishment is not going to allow us to leave the ECHR without a fight within that party. It's not going to happen. What should happen is we should ignore the ECHR. We do on prisoner voting rights, so why can't we ignore them on this immigration issue? We can. But we've got a human rights lawyer as our Prime Minister, and there is no way he's going to go against the ECHR. No way.
Well, I'll come to you in a second, Chloe, because I want to get Samuel's opinion on this. Do you think we should leave the ECHR, Samuel?
No, I don't, no.
Why? Because obviously, you know, I think no matter what happens, if there's the next government in here is going to have to deal with the illegal migration crisis, and part of that to provide, actually, I think the only way you can stop the boats is by deportations. I think there's no other way to do it. So either going to have a party that doesn't want to stop the boats, which will upset too many people, I think, or you have to leave the ECHR.
Well, no, I mean, there's like the secret third option being that we actually start treating people coming to this country with a bit of respect and dignity.
And put them where, Sam? Sorry, mate, this infuriates me. People at home are going to say,
you could possibly let me. Maybe it was coming.
Put them where, mate?
Go on.
No, we need to bring them here. We need to establish like a proper processing system in place. Hotels, I agree with you, are inappropriate, are inadequate, and that's why we need to tackle a load of different issues at the same time. We can't just look at this as one isolated thing. We need to be giving people the right to actual work, actual housing, and actual opportunities. I think
people will have dignity and respect for the people coming to this country if they come here via legal routes, and there are conditions on them coming here such that they have to pay their way, they have to learn our language, they have to integrate. At the moment, that's not happening, and that will start to build genuine resentment over time if we don't sort this issue out.
Yeah, it does seem to me, whatever happens, the battleground might be around the ECHR at the next general election. But anyway, a bit of change of tune here, because there's still plenty of time to get your entry into our biggest Great British giveaway to date. It's your chance to win 30 grand in tax-free cash and a brand new 4-berth motorhome. Here's all the details.
You're not going to want to miss our greatest Great British giveaway so far. You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. With thanks to Marquis Leisure, this brand new 2025 Benamar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. And remember, if you can dream it, you can drive it away. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck, everybody. Well, coming up, I've been out and about again to see what people think of Reform's policy of scrapping indefinite leave to remain. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss it. But next...
What attempt have you, and these are white people, have you made to integrate with those who come into your society? Why is the pressure always on us?
Yeah, I honestly, I couldn't believe it when I saw that clip. But should there be pressure on white people to integrate with migrants? This is Alex Armstrong tonight, only on GB News.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Well, columnist for the iPaper, Yasmin Al-Abahi Brown, raised eyebrows during a debate on the BBC when she claimed white people need to integrate better into certain communities across Britain. Just don't put your remotes down, take a listen and see what she has to say.
Yasmin, do you acknowledge that one of those points that Emma made about the fact that it puts the social cohesion, that people coming here...
Listen,
in large numbers. So she's talking about large numbers.
So you go to the Red Wall. I go to the Red Wall a lot and argue with people in pubs. I do this. as a duty, as a journalist, right? And I ask them, what attempt have you, and these are white people, have you made to integrate with those who come into your society? Why is the pressure always on us, the problem people? Why don't we say to more white people, integrate better, especially in those areas?
They haven't chosen to move to another country.
Hang on. I don't interrupt you, so don't interrupt me, okay? Why don't we say integration is a dance?
So
you need two people.
You need two people on both sides.
And only one side gets lectured.
I know what you're all saying at home, but listen, we'll have it out here, won't we, as we always do on GBNews. To discuss this, I'm joined by writer and political commentator James Matthewson and founder of Don't Divide Us, Alka Sehgal-Cuthbert. Thank you both very much for joining me this evening. Alka, I'll start with you. You just saw the clip there. What do you make of Yasmin's comments? Do you think white people need to do a better job of integrating with foreign communities when they come to the UK?
I think Yasmin Alibhai-Brown's views really should be a laughing stock because that's really all that they deserve. But unfortunately, views like that are getting airspace and they're being pushed by members of our cultural and academic elites. And what it really amounts to is them telling ordinary people, many of whom are already being pushed to the limits with material conditions that are getting worse by the day, that they need to be ever so humble, you know, they need to be really deferential to these newcomers, which is, first of all, assumes that newcomers don't want to integrate into British culture and life because they've come from somewhere outside of Britain to Britain. Presumably, they're not all just there for transactional purposes. There are other reasons as well. And you've got, you know, this very elite view being put forward by people like Yasmin Alibhai-Brown that is really saying, you lot need to listen to people like us, and we're telling you, you need to be deferential to people like them. So it's utterly divisive, utterly patronising, and it should be laughed out of court, really.
Yeah, James, I guess we're having a lot of conversations in the United Kingdom at the moment about culture, about divisions in society. Many people will say, actually, the onus should never be on the people that you... If I moved to Spain, for example, I would expect myself and force myself to integrate into Spanish culture. I know not everyone does, and I think those people can be... Well, people can make what they want of those people. I don't think it's very good. But surely, when people come to this country and they should integrate into British culture, it shouldn't be on the local people there to force the other way round.
Well, that would make you one of the few of the Brits who move to Spain and don't live in their own little communities and their own little expat kind of cultural communities with their fry-ups and all the rest of it. But one thing I would like to start by saying is just to ask Alka, am I an elite? I don't understand this. What this language of elite means. What is a cultural elite? Am I an elite view?
It's an elite. It's a top-down view. It's a view.
So as a working class man from the northeast of England, am I an elite for sharing that view?
You hold, if you hold the same view as Yasmin Alibhai, ideas don't attach to people, right? Different people can hold all sorts of different ideas, contradictory ideas as well. So you may be working class in your demographics, but you know, if you agree with Yasmin Alibhai-Brown, then yes, I'd say it is an elite view and you share it.
This is something that's fascinating happening in our politics at the moment. If I disagree with you, I'm elite. Whereas the people who obviously
No, that's not what I said.
Often promoting and standing for these divisive views. If I can just make my case quickly, for those who are standing against the opposite view to Yasmin, those who believe she should be laughed out of court and all the rest of it, a lot of those people are elite themselves. People like Nigel Farage, you know, people like Kemi Badenoch, who today's parroting America, talking about having have our own version of
John,
ICE,
you'll forgive me.
tagging people here.
One second, I'll come to you in a second. Let's just hear James out.
Yeah, for a second, Alka. But the whole point here is that when we talk about dividing communities, I don't see anything wrong with what Yasmin said in the principle of it, is that if you want to if people come to your community, if you want to have neighbours from wherever they've moved from, if they've moved from the south to the north or vice versa of this country, then it's about trying to help people, trying to be a good neighbour and help people integrate and build bonds in your community. There is nothing wrong with that.
OK, Alka?
Well, I think you're conflating several things. First of all, you know, I said very clearly at the beginning, I distinguish between people and ideas, but onto the substantive point of contention here. What you're talking about is neighbourliness, being nice, being kind, And many people are. Some people aren't, and that's okay, right? We do not all have to hug each other in a kumbaya. And people coming here are not fragile flowers, right? They can take. My parents themselves faced quite a lot of discrimination when they moved here. But I was brought up saying, when in Rome, you do as the Romans do. And the certain amount, whatever things that were the negative experiences they had when people were not kind, were not tolerant, were far outweighed by the majority informal. It didn't have to be pushed from above. It didn't have to be policed by policies, and it didn't have to be pushed by politicians. It was just the spontaneous, everyday reactions people have when they're allowed to get on with their lives without kind of micromanagement.
I understand that. The problem is, I think, at the moment we're seeing, and the crucial word that came up during that interview with Yasmin was white, right? And that's what's upset a lot of people, is saying that white people need to do this, white people need to do that, right? The word that we're hearing, the connotations and the conflations that are being made between race and between migration and immigration. Of course, you can move to the UK as an immigrant and be white. You can be born here. You can be a black British person and not be an immigrant. This idea, this conflation between race and that, I believe, is a deliberate one that is being made across our politics in Western politics. And it's very concerning, because if you look to America, which often, we like to follow and our right-wing politicians like to emulate at the moment, if you look to that and you see the ICE raids that are taking place at the moment, they're handcuffing black people who are citizens of the United States of America whilst on raids to then filter through anybody of colour who happens to be walking the street at night and then bagging and tagging them and then taking them away, deciding who they're going to arrest.
That's America, the kind
right? Okay, unfortunately, I've got to leave it there for the debate. James, look, I can't verify those claims, so I will just say we'll take it with a pinch of salt until we can verify that. But thank you both very much. Thank you very much for joining me, both of you, James Matthewson and Alka Sekol Cuthbert there. Thank you very much. I mean, I honestly agree with Alka. I just think if you move anywhere, whether you're British, you're white, you're black, you're brown, whatever you are, you should integrate with the people that you move around. It should never be on the local people to be forced to integrate with you. It just seems completely backwards. And when it comes to immigration, I think we've been bending over backwards to the idea of multiculturalism, which has really failed massively over the last decade or so. Anyway, coming up, Apprentice star Thomas Skinner was tonight confirmed as sadly the first celebrity to be voted out of Strictly Come Dancing. I'll be asking why, but next...
He's very racist person. I think he's very racist for the migrant.
Oh yes, I've been out again to see what people on the ground think of Reform's policy of scrapping indefinite leave to remain. This is Alex Armstrong tonight, only on GB News.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
It's been very unsettled across parts of the eastern Mediterranean, and it will stay pretty wet across Greece and parts of the Balkans through the next few days. But Iberia, the Canary Islands and also Madeira having plenty of fine weather through the day on Monday. 1 or 2 showers for eastern Spain, but lots of fine sunny conditions across Italy too. We'll run into those thunderstorms and heavy spells of rain there across Greece, some stronger winds as well. And as we go towards Tuesday in the middle part of the week, that unsettled weather will push in towards Turkey as well, so potentially some flooding here.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Good evening, welcome to our latest GB News weather from the Met Office. After a stormy start to the weekend, the north-south split that we saw last week is going to return as we head into the new working week. It's all thanks to high pressure building down to the south of the UK. We'll continue to see some weather fronts just skirting across the very far north, bringing some further cloud and outbreaks of rain, particularly across western parts of Scotland as we head through the end of Sunday. This perhaps turning heavy at times in places, but mostly light, persistent rain and drizzle across western hills. Across much of England and Wales, though, generally a drier night to come, plenty of clear spells on offer and perhaps turning a little chilly in some rural spots in the very far south. Temperatures could be dropping down into the low single figures. A milder start then, though, across the very far north, particularly if you're stuck underneath that cloud and rain, and quite a damp start to the new working week across western parts of Scotland. We'll continue to see those outbreaks of rain, persisting through much of the day. It'll perhaps be a little bit drier across eastern parts of Scotland, though still rather cloudy, and a cloudy start to the day across much of Northern Ireland and Northern England too. Some low cloud and mist and murk is possible over the hills, but any mist and fog that we might see developing under those clear skies overnight across much of England and Wales will clear relatively quickly through the morning, leaving a dry and bright start for many places in the south. That north-south split then continues as we go throughout much of Monday. Outbreaks of rain continuing across western parts of Scotland through the afternoon, but the best of any prolonged sunshine definitely across the south and the southeast. And temperatures will be up a little on Monday compared to what we saw over the weekend. 20, 21, perhaps even 22 degrees across the southeast, and even across the eastern parts of Scotland we could see into the low 20s. Tuesday is another damp start across the very far north. An area of rain sinks its way south and eastwards as we go towards the afternoon, perhaps turning a little brighter in the very far northwest, but a bit more cloud on offer across much of England and Wales. It's then turning settled as we head through the second half of the week, but after a warmer day on Monday, those temperatures are going to return closer to average.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Miriam, you can't be serious. Scrapping the triple lock on state pensions? Madness.
Andrew, we just can't carry on pretending. The numbers just don't add up. We've got to be honest with people. We've got to face the facts. That's what people want.
Well, that's what you get on GB News and on Britain's newsroom. Lively debates, lively conversation.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first, and we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Sorry, we're just talking about our haircuts, actually, believe it or not. But anyway, listen. Moving on, Sir Keir Starmer has pledged to review how the United Kingdom courts apply human rights law in asylum cases, calling the small boats crossing the Channel Farage boats. He also criticised Reform's plan to scrap indefinite leave to remain, saying it has sent a shudder through the spines of many people. Well, I went out to Whitechapel in central London, and I did it for a reason, because this place is a place where 51% of the population is Asian and 34% of the population are white, largely due to migration, and that's why I wanted to hear what they thought about these policies. So take a look. Here outside Whitechapel train station in central London. Today I want to find out from people around this area what they make of Nigel Farage, Reform UK, and importantly, what they think of the changes to indefinite leave to remain will be to them. What people think about politics? No? No? You for the news for us? No? You for the news for us?
Sorry, I don't know.
What people think of Nigel Farage and Reform UK?
Funny thing is, it's good that I don't have my license put up here because my surname is Nigel.
Do you think Nigel Farage's policies might be racist?
Well, it depends. I can't say that because I'm a foreign person as well. So in my opinion, like, if you ask a British person, then yes, it might be. But coming from my side, I don't know. Let's be honest. A lot of things here runs by foreign people. Constructions, hospitals, and many other things. Restaurants, hospitality, 98% or 99% of that is running by foreign people. But I think in the future, if his opinion thinks that like this might change something, I don't know, it will be good, but in my opinion, I don't think so. And it will be a bit unfair for the people. I've been living in London for over 11 years, and it will be unfair to take that right that I have it. You know, I pay taxes, I paid everything that has to be paid, and to be taking that right of remaining in UK. I don't find it racist. You can't classify it as being racist, but it's a bit, I don't know how to put it in a right sentence. It's unfair.
Do you think Nigel Farage's policies are racist?
He's very racist person. I think like he's very racist for the migrant, also for the mainly for the migrant. He is a very racist person, and his policy is like too much racist. He can do changes for the stopping the people applying for the benefit, but not the stopping the migrant who are they are doing a great job for this country.
I've got a son who's working here and has been working here for over 3 years, and was expecting to be able to get, is it citizenship or whatever it is, after 5 years?
It's called indefinite leave to remain.
Indefinite leave to remain, but as I understand it, it's now it may take 10 years. So a bit long for our son, who's actually contributing. He's working as a lawyer in town.
Do you think it's racist to reform these sorts of programmes?
Quite possibly.
Well, given that Farage is clearly a racist, then I would say yes.
Well, you see, I think, you know, Keir Starmer is a very gentle man. He's very soft and he's considered weak because of that. So I think it's not how you know, someone like Nigel Farage is very loud and boisterous, but that doesn't necessarily make him a strong person. And it's the policies. I think, you know, immigration is the lifeblood of a nation.
I do personally think that, like, you know, it should be, like, you know, all the migration should be legal. Like, you know, there is no doubt on that. And personally, I do oppose this boat thing. Like, you know, like, there's, like, the question comes, like, you know, when we do, like, you know, come here with ticking all the boxes, and someone is, like, literally coming here and just getting all the benefits from our hard-earned money. So that definitely makes me angry.
I'm not a big fan of Keir Starmer. I don't think he's going about it the right way, but I'd say that Nigel Farage is racist. You know, he's just splitting division in the country, just taking advantage of the inequality that's going on. And Keir Starmer's not helping that by not putting forward any hopeful policies.
Well, there you have it. That's what the people of Whitechapel thought about the changes to indefinite leave to remain. Of course, just a reminder that Keir Starmer had branded the policy as racist and immoral, but he has also announced similar sorts of changes to make indefinite leave to remain 10 years very shortly after. So I don't know whether the Prime Minister was even briefed on his own portfolio for a second there, but there we go. Adam, I'll start with you. Mixed reviews. Yeah. First gentleman was from Romania. He said to me he doesn't think it's racist, but maybe British people might find it racist. The second gentleman said it was definitely racist. A couple that we saw there, both of them thought it, one of them thought it might be racist. The other one said definitely Nigel Farage is a racist. What do you make of it all?
One thing I want to say is find me something that Nigel Farage has ever said that is racist. I say this to people all the time. They can't say it. Now, why is not wanting people that have come here, maybe legitimately, that are now a net drain on this country, and them to go, asking them to go, why is that racist? If I went to Spain or America or Dubai, things went wrong, I couldn't support myself or my family, they would not support me. They would deport me. So why is that racist? At the end of the day, I think what a lot of people are saying it's racist for is because we have a lot of immigrants that have black and brown skin. So they're hiding behind that diversity and saying it's racist. But again, if I went to America and they deported me, is that racism? No, it's not. No other country in the world is committing economic suicide like we are. We have 1.3 million foreigners on universal credit, I believe, or benefits. A cost of $1 billion a month. That's 12 billion a year we're paying in benefits to foreigners. It's unsustainable, and it's only going to collapse the system in the coming years as more come in.
Samuel, this is the point. I guess people look at this and go, but this system isn't fair anymore. It's not working. We keep bringing hundreds of thousands, almost 500,000 people came to the UK last year. 2 years before that, in the Boris wave, you saw millions of people coming to the UK, and then many of them might go on to benefits. And people say that is an unfair system, and actually indefinite leave to remain should be something that once you've contributed to the country that you get. What do you make of that? Is it racist to present those policies?
I don't know that it's racist. I think I do agree. I mean, like, I do think it is immoral. It's weird for me to agree with Keir Starmer on something. I do think it is immoral. I think if somebody has, if the argument with people coming over in dinghies is they're not coming over legitimately to this country and therefore should be deported or whatever. I don't understand why there's an argument also that people have come to this country legitimately, and then there's the argument to deport them again or whatever. That in itself. That makes no sense.
Do you think if someone's come here and they're living off benefits, so they're basically a net drain on the economy, do you think that's acceptable that they stay in the United Kingdom as someone who's actually not contributing to society?
Well, to be honest, I think we need to be looking as the wider thing in terms of welfare in this country. I mean, ensuring that there are adequate jobs and adequate pay and circumstances in which people can actually contribute to society. I don't agree with deporting people or getting rid of people who have got indefinite leave to remain at all. I think, as I said, I do believe that is immoral, but I think we need to ensure that there is the apparatus in place to support people into employment to ensure that they are actually contributing to society.
Chloe?
I think it would be immoral if we were doing what Keir Starmer has made out this policy to be, which is in the same interview where Keir Starmer called this policy racist. He says, what Reform are going to do is they're going to deport all the hard-working doctors, nurses and teachers that have contributed to this country. But that is a lie. And most of the people that you spoke to, Alex, that probably said this are racist, they've heard something like that and thought that those were the details of the policy. If you said to people, do you think it is racist for people who are on indefinite leave to remain, who haven't actually learned English in all the time they've been here and haven't bothered to get a job and pay their way, do you think it's fair that they go and all the people who have come and worked hard and integrated, they can stay? Is that racist? I think most people would say no, but a lot of people, they don't know the details of the policy. And you've got idiots like Keir Starmer lying to the public about what his opposition's policies are. If you want to rebut Reform's policies, fine, but at least be truthful about what the details are.
Adam. Let's remember, we've had people come over on work visas to work in kebab shops and Indian restaurants. Yep. That is not skilled labour. There are many people in this country that could do those jobs. These people are not contributing to this country. And when they lose their job and they go to the office and ask for their benefits, we're stuck with them. And again, no other country in the world does this.
Yeah.
It's madness.
It is totally bonkers. And to call it racist, I mean, I think people need to pick up a dictionary. They don't understand the definition of racism
or fascism
anymore.
or
far right.
or anything.
And all these words get thrown around. And I think they're very, very divisive. But I think what the Prime Minister said was immoral in itself. And I think Chloe made a very good point. It was a lie, essentially. I believe it was, at least. But many will disagree. I'm sure Keir Starmer would as well. Anyway, up next, I'll be unmasking the vile hypocrisy of pro-Gaza protesters after a weekend of rallies that, quite frankly, should not have gone ahead, but for lots of different reasons. But next... Tom Skinner is unfortunately out of Strictly, but I'll be asking a legend of the show and a friend of the channel, who you might have just seen there, Anne Widdecombe, whether voters turned against him because he was vilified for his political views. This is Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie's here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
There he is, that's Thomas Skinner. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Of course, the Strictly Come Dancing dream is unfortunately well and truly over for the Apprentice star and social media sensation and friend of the Vice President of the United States, Thomas Skinner, as he was tonight confirmed as the first celebrity to be voted out of the BBC show. He made headlines for all the wrong reasons ahead of his first appearance, of course, admitting to the Sun newspaper that he had cheated on his wife just weeks after their wedding in 2022. But the main source of backlash came before this news broke, with many calling on Skinner to be axed from Strictly because of his political leanings and apparent friendship, of course, as I mentioned, with US Vice President J.D. Vance. Well, positioning himself as a grafter who built everything from nothing, many online critiqued his posts on X, especially the ones in which he argued it's not far right to be flying your flag and loving your country, and complained that it isn't safe in London anymore. He said the city is hostile and tense. He was then forced to employ a bodyguard because of death threats against him. So, I mean, I don't think any of that is right-wing or far right or any of that. None of that. I don't think he said was, by the way, but some people will say that he is. But is it because he's working class? Is it because he has opinions that might somehow lean to the right? And is it any surprise, given all of that Thomas Skinner was the first person evicted from BBC's Strictly Come Dancing? Well, joining me now is Reform UK spokesperson and former Strictly star Anne Widdecombe. Anne, what a pleasure to have you on here. You made it to, was it week 10?
I got through to week 10, yes, out of 12 weeks, so it wasn't bad. I couldn't dance, I just returned a pantomime act every single week, and the public liked it. And you can't call me a shrinking violet when it comes to political views, but it obviously didn't put the public off. And indeed, I'm not the only politician that's been on. Ed Balls was on a couple of years after me, did fantastically well. And I don't think that Strictly viewers start discriminating against you on the basis of your politics unless they were hugely extreme. And maybe they were a bit put off by the cheating stuff, but in the end, I don't think that is what determines an outcome.
Yeah, because society has changed a lot, and I'm looking at there's another reality TV show called Big Brother. Of course, I'm sure you've heard of it, on Channel 4, and there was another sort of social media celebrity. Her name was Emily. She, in her VT, in her introduction to the audience, she very proudly declared that she was a Tory, a Conservative, and she, of course, had a big personality. She was also voted out first on that show. So I think there's people looking at this and wondering, right, are traditional TV audiences turning on right-wing people at the moment? Are they sort of having their vengeance through voting on TV shows, Anne?
Hang on, I was on Big Brother. I was the runner-up on Big Brother.
That's right.
And I did anti-woke and all the traditional stuff. and I never concealed what my views were, and I was the runner-up. So once again, I think people are always looking for reasons. If there's been the slightest controversy, they will then deduce anything from it.
Yeah.
The fact is somebody has to be out first.
And do you think it was... I don't know if you've watched the series this year, Anne. I showed a little clip of Thomas Skinner there. Do you think it was purely just down to his bad dancing?
I have absolutely no idea. I mean, people vote for all sorts of reasons on Strictly. And, of course, remember, what they vote for is not who they want to lose, but who they want to keep.
Yes.
And so it's a positive vote, not a negative vote. So maybe there were all sorts of reasons why they wanted to keep the others.
All right, well, that's look, enlightening stuff, Anne, and of course you did exceptionally well, Big Brother, and of course Strictly Come Dancing. So well done. You bucked the trend there. So you put my entire argument out the window. Thanks for that. But as always, a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Anne Widdecombe there needs no introduction, does she? I've also got my panel here with me very quickly. But Adam, Thomas Skinner's a friend of yours, isn't he?
Listen, he's a good friend of mine. He's a genuine guy, and this is what I just want the people to know. Whatever has happened in his marriage, his wife's still with him. He's made mistakes. He helps me with knife crime. He's an advocate against knife crime. He does a lot of stuff for mental health as well out there. And his videos are uplifting and positive. And how people can attack him online for that. He just wants to lift people up and say, look, live your best life, be happy, work hard, and you'll have a great life. And I think that's a positive message. Yeah. And how people can attack him for that, I don't know.
I've been following his social media account, Samuel, and nothing about him seems far right, honestly, and I really do mean that. I mean, you can criticise me for my political views. Mine are far stronger than Tom Skinner's are, but he did get attacked quite a lot on social media. Do you think that plays a part into these TV shows?
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, I wouldn't know if I fell over him. But I mean, from the clip we just saw, I don't want to speculate on my own dancing, but...
Yeah, you wouldn't vote for him, basically.
It would have been me or him going first way.
Chloe?
It may have been something to do with the dancing, but it could have also been partly political. I think, realistically, people on the left are more likely to vote to try and get someone out that they don't like, whereas people on the right, I think they're unlikely to try and vote against someone and get angry on the phone trying to kick them out just because they don't like their political views. I would judge someone on the basis of how they're dancing, their personality, and as you say, Tom is someone who's such a lovely, smiley
I've got to wrap, unfortunately, because we are literally at the end of the hour. But listen, we've got a big hour coming up for you next. Stay tuned. I will see you very, very shortly. We'll be unmasking all the hypocrites. See you in a minute.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening, welcome to your latest GB News weather from the Met Office. After a stormy start to the weekend, the north-south split that we saw last week is going to return as we head into the new working week. It's all thanks to high pressure building down to the south of the UK. We'll continue to see some weather fronts just skirting across the very far north, bringing some further cloud and outbreaks of rain, particularly across western parts of Scotland as we head through the end of Sunday. This perhaps turning heavy at times in places, but mostly light, persistent rain and drizzle across western hills. Across much of England and Wales, though, generally a drier night to come, plenty of clear spells on offer and perhaps turning a little chilly in some rural spots in the very far south. Temperatures could be dropping down into the low single figures. A milder start then, though, across the very far north, particularly if you're stuck underneath that cloud and rain, and quite a damp start to the new working week across western parts of Scotland. We'll continue to see those outbreaks of rain persisting through much of the day. It'll perhaps be a little bit drier across eastern parts of Scotland, though still rather cloudy, and a cloudy start to the day across much of Northern Ireland and Northern England too. Some low cloud and mist and murk is possible over the hills, but any mist and fog that we might see developing under those clear skies overnight across much of England and Wales will clear relatively quickly through the morning, leaving a dry and bright start for many places in the south. That north-south split then continues as we go throughout much of Monday. Outbreaks of rain continuing across western parts of Scotland through the afternoon, but the best of any prolonged sunshine definitely across the south and the southeast. And temperatures will be up a little on Monday compared to what we saw over the weekend. 20, 21, perhaps even 22 degrees across the southeast, and even across the eastern parts of Scotland we could see into the low 20s. Tuesday is another damp start across the very far north. An area of rain sinks its way south and eastwards as we go towards the afternoon, perhaps turning a little brighter in the very far northwest, but a bit more cloud on offer across much of England and Wales. It's then turning settled as we head through the second half of the week, but after a warmer day on Monday, those temperatures are going to return closer to average.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
This is your chance to win a motorhome and cash in our biggest giveaway to date. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be the proud owner of this 2025 Benamar Primero. It comfortably accommodates 4 people and can be driven on your standard driving licence. Plus, you'll also bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like. Make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Blinds close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Good evening, it's 10 p.m. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight...
Genocide!
A terrorist attack
Israel is committing genocide!
There was a terrorist attack in
Israel is committing genocide!
Do you understand
There is a live genocide!
Do you understand?
I'm surprised I've not lost my voice, honestly, but Shabana Mahmood is cracking down on protesting. But I think it's a Trojan horse. Also...
We must leave the ECHR and repeal the Human Rights Act.
Conservative Party conference is well underway, and leader of the Tories, Kemi Badenoch, has finally come to the epiphany that we need to leave the ECHR. Also... another pledge from the Tories as they pledge to slash £300 billion from Britain's welfare bill as Mel Stride says we can't keep spending money we don't have. Also... bonkers. Yeah, Strictly Come Dancing star Tom Skinner is out, unfortunately for him, but we'll hope maybe he'll have another shot at it next year, you never know. Also... Privacy, privacy, privacy. Well, yes, Meghan Markle is accused of insensitivity as she posted a video of riding in Paris, close to where Princess Diana died. Plus, the stalker who came within yards of Prince Harry. And joining me this evening is political commentator Chloe Dobbs, businessman and activist Adam Brooks, and political commentator Samuel Sweek. And I can't wait to get your reaction to this video from Gary Neville.
The division that's being created is absolutely disgusting. Mainly created by angry, middle-aged white men.
Listen, do not buy the snake oil. Do not trust Shabana Mahmood's new protest crackdown, because it seems to me it is a tyrant's Trojan horse. Well, this coming Tuesday marks 2 blood-soaked years since Hamas terrorists unleashed hell on Israel, slaughtering 1,200 innocent people, men, women, babies, in a frenzy of barbaric murder. And what did some of the pro-Gaza zealots in our country do? Show solidarity? Condemn Hamas? Nope. Before Israel could even draw breath, they scrambled to book central London for their first of many hate carnivals. That alone unmasks their vile hypocrisy, in my opinion. But since then, we've endured endless weekends of poison parades snaking through our capital and beyond. Now, I want to make it clear, I'm not saying everyone who supports Gaza is harmful, but unfortunately, we've seen some of this, haven't we? Nazi salutes. We've also seen anti-Semitic banners spewing disgusting filth on our streets.
Let's do it for Palestine, Ramallah, West Bank, Gaza. It's about time we globalise the Intifada!
Crowds chanting Intifada and Jihad, as you just saw. And we saw these scenes prior to October 7th too, didn't we? Today, many will be forgiven for applauding Shabana Mahmood's tough new powers to crush repetitive protests. But I think they couldn't be more wrong. This is no shield against the hate mob. It has the potential to be a new weapon of tyranny, a gun aimed at your voice, a Trojan horse primed to bulldoze protests at migrant hotels long before it even touches a single Gaza hate march. Why? Because it seems the police already hold the keys to ban them if they wanted to. The rules are quite clear. A march can be banned if there is a serious threat of public disorder. Well, why don't we try the 1,000 arrests since the slaughter began? Or 40 in one night, right after a terror attack on our soil against the Jewish community? If that's not serious and consistent disorder, I don't know what is. And don't forget, the police have shut down demos at illegal migrant hotels before. In Canary Wharf, they put a moratorium on protesting there by some groups for 30 days. And in Epping, you can't protest outside the Bell Hotel past 9 p.m. Yet, the Gaza weekly witch hunts, well, they've remained untouched. The sacred cows of our left-wing establishment, aren't they? Sceptics among us might suggest that successive governments have allowed some of these intimidating and, I think, anti-Semitic marches to continue untouched. Why? They might suggest it is to weaponise our fury, manufacturing consent for a free speech guillotine against those the blob politically despise. And don't let your very fair outrage, by the way, at these far-left fanatics blind you to the real plot. And if you doubt me, why don't you scour the last 72 hours of social media and try and find a single senior Labour voice condemning and damning the far-left thuggery on our streets over the last few days? And when you've done that, tell me this. Do you really trust the cabal in this government to unleash these powers on the most hateful protesters at some of these marches? Or do you think there's a chance they will turn the screws on you, the everyday Brits, terrified for your kids' future, protesting fairly, daring to demand borders and safety for women and children? Well, joining us now is former police officer Graham Wetton. Graham, thank you so much for joining me. I am quite terrified of these new protest laws, and I will just say this before we start. I will always defend the right to free protest in this country, even if I vehemently, maybe saw the video at the start of this, people screaming and shouting at me, giving me abuse all day yesterday. I will still defend those people's rights to protest. I am worried that we're going down a route of tyranny and it's a slow creep there, and that sceptics might say that actually we're weaponising fury.
Evening, Alex. I heard what you said. I actually think this has been needed for some time now. Remember, the Public Order Act was written in 1986, and Section 11 of the Public Order Act actually requires people to give the police 6 days' notice before a march or procession. That's very rarely done. As you mentioned already, there was an emergency demo, I think, last Thursday night. And marches, processions are dealt with slightly differently than assemblies. I think the legislation does need, I think the Home Secretary referred to loopholes. It does need tidying up. The difference there is it needs to be applied evenly and fairly to all groups, not just directed to one particular group. But there have been far too many, I think, of these processions and marches on a far too frequent basis in the last 2 years.
Graham, I understand that, and I really do understand the feeling in this country that protests are just taking over our lives and that they're becoming more and more divisive. My worry is that actually, having looked at this, the lack of statements, I mean, when we had the Unite the Kingdom rally, 25 people were arrested. I condemned those 25 people for causing violence and attacking our police. 40 people arrested the other night, the same night of a terror attack in our country. Those 40 people, I condemned them, but nothing from the Labour government. Nothing from the senior officials across our country. So I'm worried that this law will be weaponised to only stop protests of certain groups. Is there any guarantee that that won't happen?
I'd like to think that the policing doesn't normally get involved in politics, left or right wing, etc. And all the time our police protest, it didn't matter which group was protesting. We applied the law, I felt, evenly and fairly on every occasion. Politicians can pass the laws. The police then actually apply them, and it depends how you apply them based on the group you're policing at the time and either the risk or threat of serious disorders you've mentioned that's likely to occur. That's when you decide to use either one or several of the tactics and powers that are available to you. So it's up to the police to decide operational decisions, but we do need the politicians to give us some of the powers to make those operational decisions that make the rest of society feel safer and allow communities to come out on the streets and feel safe while lawful, peaceful protests are taking place.
My final brief question to you, Graham, is that when we look at the protest that happened on Thursday, the night of a terror incident, which I think was deplorable for anyone to do that, and again, I will always defend people's right to protest, but I think there's a time and place, and I do agree with the Home Secretary that it was a very un-British thing to do. Why did we not, at that point, the police go, do you know what, this could lead to serious disorder, there's been a terror attack tonight, there could be Jewish people that go out and go, do you know what, I've had enough. Why would the police not utilise the existing powers to shut that protest down?
Because that was an assembly, and the power to ban protests is for marches and processions. That's where the difference comes in the Public Order Act, and I think that's the loophole the Home Secretary is referring to. Marches and processions, the police can apply for a ban. That application goes to the Home Secretary, but it has to be based then on legal footings, i.e. the likelihood of serious disorder that any imposition of conditions on the march isn't going to prevent. And that would be challenged in courts. Even if you do ban it, as we've seen already with the groups that come out on Saturday, even if it is an offence to come out and march or assemble, we've still seen people willing to come out and commit offences. So you still need to police that and have sufficient resources to then, if need be, as we saw on Saturday, make arrests. And that took 1,500 officers on Saturday. So, again, huge impact on police resources.
Well, Graham Wetton, thank you for joining me and giving us those really important insights on this really important topic to the country right now. Former police officer there, Graham Wetton, thank you for coming on the show. Adam, I'll start with you. You've been to a lot of protests recently. And I understand what Graham's saying, and I do think that police sometimes struggle to make decisions that could stop. We could have stopped some of these protests going ahead, and I think actually, if the conscience of the people who are running these assemblies or protests, whatever we want to call them, they should have done the right thing and not had a protest on the night of a terror attack. What do you make of the change of these laws?
Look, I think we're in very dangerous territory from what the Home Secretary is saying, that it could be used against people like me that are maybe outside migrant hotels peacefully protesting. Let's just remember that less than 48 hours after a terrorist event where innocent Jews were slaughtered on the streets of Britain, we had people in favour of Palestine Action, which is a defined terrorist group. People keep saying they're harmless. At the end of the day, they were arrested, many of the organisers, for going into a military installation with sledgehammers, hammers, whips, and axes. At the end of the day, they were deemed a terrorist organisation for a reason that never gets spoken about. So people that are supporting these are also, in my mind, quite dangerous. So, look, it's a matter of respect. If a migrant was hurt 2 days before I was going to protest, or there was a tragic event at a migrant hotel, I wouldn't protest because I've got morals and I know what's right and wrong. They should have stopped this. They should have put a statutory instrument through Parliament for a temporary ban this weekend. Look, 400-odd arrests. There was police that were attacked. There were signs that were threatening Zionists and Jews. That is despicable. And yet our Prime Minister and our Mayor of London does not call that out, but they want to call out 20 or so idiots that were at the United Kingdom march. The hypocrisy and the double standards shows that we are living in two-tier Britain.
Chloe?
Look, I think we can all agree that the right to protest is important and needs to be protected, but I do think that protests should have some restrictions. We already have some. I mean, Just Stop Oil, we said you can't just block all the roads indefinitely, that we're not going to play ball with that. There need to be some restrictions, and I do think that these marches it's been every single Saturday, week after week after week, for 2 years now. And even if you just think of it on a cost and resources basis, think how much more money and resources the Met Police would have to solve things like knife crime if these marches weren't going on every single week. I want these people to have the right to protest, but I don't think it has to be every single week, especially at this point. They could say once a month, and you can say, oh, maybe they'll use it inappropriately against the wrong people, but I think you need to be really, really clear in the legislation on that they have to. If the Met Police are going to restrict a certain group on a certain day from protesting, they need to clarify very clearly exactly why, and perhaps then justify that against decisions they've made against other protests on the other flip side of the political spectrum, to show they're consistent, so they don't face these accusations of two-tier policing.
Samuel, I'm still concerned. I hear what you're saying, Chloe, and I really do hear. And having gone to these protests, I don't have sympathy for the people who are going to them. I know they're going to go and get arrested, but I will still defend their right to do it. And whilst it does take our public resources, and I want the police to be well resourced and to be focusing on crime, it is a right in this country to protest. My concern is, no matter what political side you sit on, we could go down a very slippery slope in saying, actually, because of this terrorist attack, which is awful, the government could go, do you know what, we should use this as an opportunity to crack down on protesting because people are just outraged at the moment. That's my worry.
No, and I think that's a very, very valid worry to have. It ceases to be a right to protest if it's done on essentially at the permission of the British government, who, in this case, the people are actually protesting against. But I think on a wider point, and specific to the demonstration in the last couple of days, it's incredibly, in my opinion, incredibly irresponsible to conflate the lives and security and safety of British Jews with the actions of Israel, which is what the demonstration the other day was actually about. And as a British Jew, I do actually very much resent that there is actually a tie between being a Jew and actually making Israel essentially have a level of impunity from its from any sort of conversations that are critiquing what it's been doing over the last 2 years, and particularly the British government's role in supporting the military operations, which many genocide scholars and organisations have labelled as a genocide, and certainly other war crimes. But no, you're right. When you have the government naming the time and the place and other restrictions, it ceases to be a right, and it's a very slippery slope.
Samuel, would you stand next to someone on one of these marches that says, what threatens Zionists, physical action against Zionists, kick a Zionist? Would you happily stand next to that sign on one of these protests?
I don't understand the framing of your question.
I think so. So there have been placards. We showed some of in the intro there. We showed some footage of people who were clearly being anti-Semitic. Clearly being anti-Semitic. I saw some pictures of some of the placards that have been around these protests, and I think, whilst fundamentally I completely disagree with everything you said, particularly on these protests, I will always defend your right to go and protest. But what I won't say is, on the night of a terrorist attack, where clearly it was targeted at the Jewish community, it was very obviously targeted at the Jewish community, to embolden a group of people that have been associated with anti-Semitism. We have seen acts of it. We gave some evidential footage there as well. is it just not, it's completely inappropriate of that night to go, do you know what, I think we should just call it off. Because if one person comes with a placard that says something stupid, we're going to go down in history for supporting anti-Semitism. And I think that is the distinction, and what the Home Secretary said about being un-British is right, because British people don't go and do these things when they know it's the time to unify our country. And I think what would have really helped the Palestinian cause or the Gaza cause was to go, we are in solidarity with you. How can you be in solidarity with one group and not the other when these horrible things?
Well, I think it's really important to point out that a lot of these actions are Jewish-led, that there are Jews who do take part in these demonstrations and indeed have been arrested for supposed terror crimes, including the descendants and actual Holocaust survivors who are now facing terror charges. So I think, it's important to always to point out, as you've said about the Tommy Robinson marches, the actions of a few do not personify the entire march, and there will always be individuals who do often make the headlines, unfortunately. But the wider cause here, the other day, as I said, was British citizens being detained on the flotilla illegally after being intercepted in international waters by Israel. That was the demonstration. That is a timely demonstration.
Can I put a scenario to you?
Yeah.
Let's say there was a terrorist attack on a migrant hotel, but there was a planned rally by Tommy Robinson, a United Kingdom rally, the same day, and he says, do you know what, we're going to go ahead with it. And what you get is scenes of jubilation, people flying British flags. Can you see how that would look horrible? Not that there's any association with Tommy Robinson and a terrorist attack on an illegal migrant hotel. Can you see how that would look bad?
The right to protest.
Do you think it would look bad?
I have my opinions on Tommy Robinson, but what I will always defend is people's right to go and protest without having the say-so and permission of the government.
I agree with you on that. I totally agree with you on that.
What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. If there was a terrorist attack or a terrible incident at a migrant hotel 2 days before I was meant to go and protest, I would not go and protest out of respect for maybe someone that's lost their life or their families or for the whole situation. And to know that the world would be looking at me for my behaviour, I would be putting a good message out there to say, I'm showing some respect. They didn't show any respect on Thursday night, and they shouldn't have protested at the weekend either.
Yeah, I think it was disrespectful. I think that there are plenty of people at those protests who are simply criticising Israel's actions, but I think a lot of Jews feel that there are a significant number of anti-Semitic people at those protests. I went to one of them, and they were chanting "From the river to the sea" consequently, which a lot of people would say is a call to murder all of the Jews that live in Israel.
I completely disagree with that.
But a lot of Jews feel very intimidated and uncomfortable, scared to come into central London, and you think on the day that Jews are probably feeling the most terrified that they've ever been in this country since they came here to seek refuge from the Holocaust, that maybe it would be respectful to just call it off for one day.
Yeah,
one day.
I certainly agree with that. I also agree that the government should never have the right to tell us when we should and shouldn't protest. I personally think it showed a really deep vileness about some of these protests by the fact that they went ahead on Thursday up and down the country. I think the British public will make their minds up about that, and that's why I would defend their right to do it. I think it was an awful, awful, awful thing to do, and I agree with the Home Secretary, it was un-British. I still think she should have stepped in and gone, if we care so much about unity, we care so much about diversity, we will ban the march tonight, and if people go out and do it, the police will protect Jews. The Keir Starmer did say he would do everything he could, and I think that probably has crossed senses.
Just a quick reminder.
Very briefly.
Keir Starmer said he wouldn't want a migrant hotel in his town. So why is it OK to have one in our town?
Oh, well, that's a good point. Well,
OK.
Look, a spokesperson for the NEU said, in speaking to the rally in 2021, Mr Kebedi called for peace and justice in the Middle East and expressed solidarity with the Palestinian people. He used the slogan, "Globalise the Intifada," which is an expression of such solidarity and of support for civic protests. It did not convey any support for violence. There's still plenty of time to get your entry into the biggest Great British giveaway to date. 30 grand tax-free cash and a brand new 4-berth motorhome. Here's all your details.
You're not going to want to miss our greatest Great British giveaway so far. You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. With thanks to Marquis Leisure, this brand new 2025 Badenoch Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. And remember, if you can dream it, you can drive it away. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Now, good luck, everybody. Well, the front pages are dropping in as we speak. But first... Yeah, Meghan Markle makes her first trip to Europe in over 2 years, but she's been accused of insensitivity after she posted a video of riding in Paris close to where Princess Diana died. Do you think she's trying to maybe paint herself as like a Diana figure, perhaps? Anyway, this is Alex Armstrong tonight, only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Are you panicking when you're in Northern Ireland when you go out and about because there is a lack of chargers?
Well, listen, I'm really pro-EV, and we've had the odd issue with broken EV chargers, in particular yesterday at both Ballymoney at Beasties and also over at Dunsily. We had issues with chargers, but the charging infrastructure is used very rarely. My mother, for example, she has overnight charging at home. She's never used a public charger, and she's had the car for 3 years.
Yeah. So
if you've got that domestic overnight charging, it's cheap. It's very affordable if you buy a 2-year-old EV, and they are absolutely the way forward. I'm a Yorkshireman. I don't like parting with my brass. I want to get cheap motoring, and for less than a penny a mile and a car for less than 20 grand to start with, you know, it sounds a bit blasé saying £20,000, but relative to what these cars are new, they're incredible value for money, and we're seeing mass adoption. There's a garage in Richmond in North Yorkshire that sells more than half of the cars they sell are electric vehicles, and that's in a rural Dales area. So it's about having that domestic overnight charging and not having to rely on public infrastructure.
Danny, where it doesn't convince me at all is, right, so I'm living in London and I want to go to see Manchester United, and I might get there, but am I going to get back down again? Or worse still, if I'm not on full charge, I'm going to miss kickoff because I'm going to have to rely on a public charger somewhere. So is that the sort of anxiety? I mean, you were talking about range anxiety there, Ellie. Is that the sort of anxiety people have? I mean, I genuinely have that. Despite what we were hearing there from Fraser.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well. Meghan Markle was spotted at Fashion Week in Paris. It's marked her first time in Europe for more than 2 years. But where was Harry? Where was he? Where was Prince Harry? While in Paris, Meghan posted a video in a limo near the location of Diana's fatal accident, and we showed you a clip of that just moments ago. But I'm now joined by editor-at-large of the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths, to talk more about this. So, Charlotte, maybe let's start, before we get into that juicy bit there of this video she posted, let's talk about her coming over to Paris for the Fashion Week there. I saw some clips of her the other day. She was whispering in someone's ear. That got a little bit of condemnation. I saw someone mocked up an image of her. Look, there it is. It looked like she was wearing toilet paper, someone said. Are people being a little bit unfair to Meghan Markle here, or is the criticism warranted?
Well, I think on the outfit front, criticism is warranted. I mean, what is she wearing? She does look like, one person said Lawrence of Arabia, but I think people are very quick to jump on the anti-Meghan bandwagon. Yeah. And of course, she will be over there thinking, this is so unfair, I can't do anything right, I suppose. I mean, what I did find very interesting was that she met with Anna Wintour. Now, that is a big change for her because she has not spoken to Anna Wintour pretty much in her whole kind of celebrity career. And they've never really got on. And apparently Anna Wintour didn't really like her because she's a big monarchist, and she's never given her a cover of Vogue or invited her to her famous Met Gala event. So I found that very, very interesting. So she got a kiss on the cheek. And the other person that got a kiss on the cheek was the lead designer at Balenciaga, who Meghan has a friendship with. And it was very awkward because he tried to do the French kiss, you know, 2 kisses on each cheek, and she slightly didn't get it right, and it was all very awkward. So she did seem a little bit out of place in Paris, if I'm going to be honest. She seemed a bit nervous, and at one point she sat on the front row and a model tripped and she burst out laughing. And then she realised that was obviously quite a cruel thing to do, so she sort of covered it up. So, but she was quite poised, but I think she was a little bit nervous there.
Yeah, it was a weird thing to see her go and do something like this. I'm not saying that, obviously, she's not unfamiliar with the sort of celebrity lifestyle, but we haven't associated her with that recently. I've seen her try to become more authentic, more of the housewife. You know, this, I guess, cosplaying is what I'd call it, of her, you know, cooking at home, what's not her home, and all these things. Do you think now maybe she's shifting again? Her image is changing again? Is this the advice of these new PR people, perhaps?
I absolutely do think she's shifting again. So she's had a go at being royal. That went very badly wrong. She's had a go at cookery. It's not been a great success. And as you say, it's just not very authentic seeing her in the kitchen, kicking off her shoes and just kind of whipping up a pasta. So I think maybe she is trying the fashion route, and she's kind of slightly remodeled her look. She's incredibly slick over there in Paris with this sort of baggy clothes, quiet luxury look, very, very slick back hair. I mean, she's very slender at the moment. She's really got that kind of Parisian fashion look. And I think what she's doing is trying to find the next thing. You know, she's lost her deal with Spotify, so radio's not going well. Netflix, obviously, you know, there's one kind of Christmas episode coming out of her cookery show, but that's not really going to get renewed by the looks of things. Acting's kind of off the menu at the moment because she gave it all up to marry Harry. So I think this is what she's trying. But what I find fascinating and bizarre is that she chose Paris to step her well-heeled foot into fashion rather than, say, Milan or New York.
Or even London, Charlotte, you know, a place where the British public at least have some, you know, maybe she might be liked there, but it would get a lot of attention. So was that a tactical not coming to London Fashion Week?
Definitely, because she's ruled out coming to the UK. She's terrified, apparently, of being booed. She can't get the security here, and we all know Harry's obsessed with the fact that she could be in danger in the UK and in London. Although I have to say, Paris, I can't really see the difference. I mean, it's very close to London. It's a vibrant city. I mean, I don't see why it's less of a security risk. And the thing is about Paris is that Harry has said himself in Spare that, you know, Paris is like a wound for him, that he sort of made peace with Paris as a place, but he doesn't really want to go there. He's basically, he finds it quite triggering, and he's completely traumatized. I mean, in Spare, he actually said it made him physically sick, the thought of going to Paris. So I'm really surprised that she chose that as the location for her fashion debut.
This video that she's been posted on sent some people into a bit of a fury because they said, what, a bridge away from where Diana was fatally, of course, well, I hate to say that word, actually she wasn't, if she died in that tunnel, of course. Many people are, of course, furious that she would put that video up. Again, is that unfair? Do you think Meghan even knows where that is? And maybe it's just a coincidence she posted it in that place?
I'd say, I think Prince Harry, if he was leaping to her defence, would say she probably didn't really know. So what happened was she went past a bridge and then another bridge.
Mm.
I've lost you.
Oh,
anyway,
I can still hear you. No, you're back. We've got you.
The Diana Bridge. And I think that's a bit far-fetched to say she sort of deliberately did it. She didn't actually even go through the tunnel, the bridge. But what I would say is just the whole idea of filming inside a car, it feels like a bit of an own goal, I'd say, because, you know, it's just insensitive. It's just, we know how Diana died. She wasn't wearing a seatbelt. She was in the back of a car, just like Meghan was. It's just a silly mistake to make. But I have to say, I don't think it was that deliberate. But maybe that's because I'm just too optimistic and kind about people. I just cannot believe she would do that on purpose.
Yes.
And I do know one thing about Paris Fashion Week is that it's a complete blur of chaos, and you go from one thing to the next, and it's all over the shops. There might be just a case of it just being a bit of a chaotic moment.
Yeah, and do we know how long she's going to stay in Europe for, Charlotte?
I actually don't know. I think what I heard was she only likes to do kind of 1 or 2 or 3 nights maximum away from the kids, and that Harry's back at home looking after the children. So I think it will be one of those sort of whirlwind trips. And it looks like a whirlwind. You know, on her Instagram post, you can tell she's kind of flitting from one place to the next, jumping out of cars, going into hotels. It's a bit chaotic, probably a bit exhausting, and you know, a PR disaster waiting around every corner. So she might want to hot-foot it back to Montecito ASAP.
Indeed. Well, one of our viewers here has said this. Cynthia said, meanwhile, Thomas Markle, 81, quite unwell, living in a small rented flat in the Philippines. He's never met Harry. He's no idea what his grandchildren look like, hasn't even seen a photo. Do you think there's a little bit of insensitivity there? But, of course, you know, her relationship with her father is not good. We know that, Charlotte. But it seems to me that, of course, she's now throwing everything at her own career. Many people are saying is this whole facade of her being a family person has just fallen to the wayside now. She's just doing a whole new thing again. Now she's, you know, fashion model Markle in a new I don't know, a new sphere of herself, should I say?
Yeah, she's definitely putting a lot of time and energy into finding her career, finding her next money-making scheme. She puts a huge amount of energy into it, and she does interviews saying, look, I've just worked so hard, and I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm ordering new things for my brand online. Now we can see she's starting this new fashion empire, or maybe even career as an influencer in fashion. But you're right to say, could she spare some time to go and see her father? You know, I do hear that her father's not in a great place. And, you know, much like Harry's trying to see his dad again because his dad's ill with cancer. We don't know how long he has left. He said that himself in his BBC interview. I'm amazed Meghan doesn't, even just for the PR, okay, so she's just being really Machiavellian about it, just for the PR, just go and see your dad. And, you know, actually on another level, I think she should do it for her own peace of mind. Because, you know, if you've got time to go to Paris, you've probably got time to go and see your dad in the Philippines. Before that, he was living in Mexico. It would have taken hardly any time at all to go and see him.
And there's another story here, Charlotte. I hope you don't mind me asking you about this, because this is from the Telegraph from what I can see here, and it's saying a stalker came within feet of Prince Harry on his UK visit. Now, this is going to spark that debate that Prince Harry had made that big claim. He said, I need security when I'm here in the United Kingdom. Do you think that's going to be a new talking point again?
Definitely. I do know about this story. I'm not sure how much I can say, but I do know it was actually really quite worrying for Harry, because the stalker came near him and there was basically no one protecting him. There was a security guard at the event in Nottingham, which was a radio show event, and he had his own personal protection officer who hadn't spotted the stalker. And so it came to basically a PR man that was there to come between Harry and the stalker. And the PR man's not trained or armed, but knew perfectly well that the stalker was there, lurking around, trying to get close to him, which I have to say does sort of make me think maybe he does need some kind of security, or he needs to get better security, or at least not rely on these security guards at radio stations in Nottingham. He might need to beef it up. And I do think maybe he should be more open to the idea of having the royal protection, the ad hoc royal protection, because apparently he's been offered it in the past, but he finds it inadequate. But he might want to negotiate a bit more on that and be less black and white about it, because obviously, you know, if you've got a stalker coming up to you, you need proper protection.
Indeed. Well, look, we've got more coming up on the show. Your front page is The Express, another pledge from the Tories as they're vowing to slash £300 billion from Britain's welfare bill, as well as Mel Stride saying we can't keep spending money we don't have. Charlotte Griffiths, thank you so much, as ever, for joining me. This is Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News. OK, well, we've got lots more coming up with you on the show tonight. Your front pages on The Express, another pledge from the Tories as they vow to slash £300 billion from Britain's welfare bill. As Mel Stride is saying, we can't keep spending money we don't have. This is Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News.
Good evening and welcome to our latest GB News weather from the Met Office. After a stormy start to the weekend, the north-south split that we saw last week is going to return as we head into the new working week. It's all thanks to high pressure building down to the south of the UK. We'll continue to see some weather fronts just skirting across the very far north, bringing some further cloud and outbreaks of rain, particularly across western parts of Scotland as we head through the end of Sunday. This perhaps turning heavy at times in places, but mostly light, persistent rain and drizzle across western hills. Across much of England and Wales, though, generally a drier night to come, plenty of clear spells on offer and perhaps turning a little chilly in some rural spots in the very far south. Temperatures could be dropping down into the low single figures. A milder start then, though, across the very far north, particularly if you're stuck underneath that cloud and rain, and quite a damp start to the new working week across western parts of Scotland. We'll continue to see those outbreaks of rain persisting through much of the day. It'll perhaps be a little bit drier across eastern parts of Scotland, though still rather cloudy, and a cloudy start to the day across much of Northern Ireland and Northern England too. Some low cloud and mist and murk is possible over the hills, but any mist and fog that we might see developing under those clear skies overnight across much of England and Wales will clear relatively quickly through the morning, leaving a dry and bright start for many places in the south. That north-south split then continues as we go throughout much of Monday. Outbreaks of rain continuing across western parts of Scotland through the afternoon, but the best of any prolonged sunshine definitely across the south and the southeast. And temperatures will be up a little on Monday compared to what we saw over the weekend. 20, 21, perhaps even 22 degrees across the southeast, and even across the eastern parts of Scotland we could see into the low 20s. Tuesday is another damp start across the very far north. An area of rain sinks its way south and eastwards as we go towards the afternoon, perhaps turning a little brighter in the very far northwest, but a bit more cloud on offer across much of England and Wales. It's then turning settled as we head through the second half of the week, but after a warmer day on Monday, those temperatures are going to return closer to average.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, this Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, I've got your front pages hot off the press here. Should we go through them together? The Independent. Badenoch told she has death wish for the Conservative Party. I don't know whether that's new news. Anyway, the Daily Express, the Tories pledged to slash £300 billion cost of welfare. Good luck with that one. Metro, thump the gazumpers. Sellers who pull plug after bagging a better off deal could face fines under proposed conditional contracts. We'll get into more. That's a bit more of a complex one there for house buyers. The Sun, Grace and Honour, knife victim praise. George Medal for hero teen. I can't wait to speak to Adam Brooks about that one. The Guardian, alarm over minister's plan to give police more anti-protest powers. Perhaps the first time me and the Guardian are aligned on something. Wow, what a night. The Telegraph, PM must come clean over China, says Tories. That story, I told you this the other night. I said this is going to start getting more traction. I think it will do. I think it's a bit of a scandal sitting there. The Times, Mahmood, police could get power to ban protests. OK. We've also got a special one for you here, one that my team last night, Crackpot team, have put together, called the GB News front page. Take a look at this. It is the website. And Gary Neville's tirade has made middle-aged white men, of course, he has basically said that most of us probably here would be responsible for what happened at the synagogue the other day. That's at least what people are saying on social media. It's been a bit of a storm, hasn't it? I almost made it to the front. Well, I am on the front page there from that protest the other day. I'm quite happy with that. There you go. Maybe we should do GBNews front page more often. But we'll talk about Gary Neville at some point, because trust me, I really want to get into his comments. But let's start off with Badenoch told she has death wish for the Conservative Party. Adam, of course, this is a 300-year-old political party. Yeah. Kemi Badenoch's major speech today. You'd hope, you know, at a time when the government are faltering so much, this should be front-page news, what she's offering the country, but no one's paying attention.
Because no one's paying attention because they're not going to get in power. As I said earlier, no one's going to vote for the Conservatives. Say the 14 or 15% that are saying yes in polling, they're Conservative diehards. They're not going to go any higher now. I'm sorry. She won't even be the leader this time next year. Yeah. So she can promise the world, but if you know you're not getting in power, you can promise the world.
I was absolutely shocked when she did an interview with the Daily Express, and she was asked, why is nobody talking about you at the Lib Dem conference or the Labour conference? They're all talking about reform. And you know what she said? She said, oh, it's because they know that they can't beat a renewed Conservative Party under new leadership. They know reform's easy to beat, so that's why they're going for them. And I thought, what planet are you living on, Kemi Badenoch? Have you looked at the polls?
Yeah. But she's got to stay positive, hasn't she? I mean, to be fair to her, I sometimes I feel quite bad for Kemi Badenoch, actually. As much as I really don't think she's got much in her, unfortunately, I think it's been a mistake. I do start to feel a little bit sorry for her. I mean, this front page on The Independent here is not great, is it, Samuel?
Well, no, and you know what? I don't have a single bit of sympathy at all for Kemi. Her brand of politics has always represented a disgraceful race to the bottom. And, you know, like Adam said, I don't think she's going to be leader of the Tories for very much longer at all. And as far as I'm concerned, and like good riddance to it, but the Tory party's dead.
Yeah, but going back to reform here, because what I see on social media now is people saying, oh, reform is the new Tory party, it's just a rebranded one. What do you make of those criticisms?
No, because when reform get in on these polling numbers, they are going to get in, let's have it right. They will have MPs that are following the party line. The Conservatives never did. It was infighting all the time. Things like leaving ECHR would never get through. Even when they had a huge majority, there was too many wets in the party.
Yeah.
So reform are going to be completely different with that, is because everyone's going to be on the same page politically going forward.
And Chloe, Zia Yusuf said that it's not. They don't want these. I mean, David Ball, the chairman of the party, also said that they don't want all these failed Tories in the party. When do you think they should put up the drawbridge?
Look, I think that reform can take a few Tories, not people who have been ministers who have overseen massive rises in the number of migrants coming to this country. Hence, they've had pretty strong stances on certain individuals. But a few people who have got good experience, I think it's worthwhile, but I think they need to be very, very careful. Just on this headline, we're all saying, oh, we agree the Conservative Party is dead because they've not done enough on migration. But this is about Dominic Grieve, who is saying saying that the Tories announcing they're going to leave the ECHR is a death wish, because that's hard right.
Yes, that's
it
right.
just shows how insanely out of touch he is. I mean, the country is crying and screaming out for us to leave the ECHR because they see so many cases of people that really need to be deported who can't be deported. I mean, we couldn't even send a few people to France. We wanted to send 50 a week. We can barely send anybody.
Yeah.
But
he loves the EU, doesn't he?
I know.
He
really is, yes.
So I don't think Dominic Grieve should be the one advising Tammy Badenoch.
I really can't. But anyway, moving on, because former Man United footballer turned businessman Gary Neville has had a long and hard think about division across Britain, hasn't he? And he's come to one conclusion. It's because of middle-aged white men. Take a look.
And I just kept thinking as I was driving home last night that we're all being turned on each other. And the division that's being created is absolutely disgusting. Mainly created by angry, middle-aged white men who know exactly what they're doing. Funnily enough, on one of my development sites last week, there was a Union Jack flag put up, and I took it down instantly.
That's right, patriotism. Take down those flags, Gary. I mean, he is a useful idiot, in my opinion. I really think he is, and I think he is exactly this type of liberal, wealthy, elite mindset that has actually caused divisions in the country, I believe, Adam. What do you think?
He's worth tens of millions of pounds. That man could leave this country tomorrow if it erupted. He is a hypocrite of the highest order. Me and him have clashed on social media before. He didn't like it when I called him out before.
Yeah.
Look, no mention of mass Jew hate on our streets or the violence from the left, but no, it's middle-aged white men like me that like the flag.
Yeah, that's right.
Of course it is.
Samuel, what do you think of his comments? Do you think you agree with him?
No, I don't. I think what Gary has, I don't know if he's done it poorly or what he needs to be looking at instead is that we have a society and a political and media class that way too often pits one group of people against the other. He has very clumsily laid the blame at the door of people who don't necessarily deserve it there.
OK, well, look, we're going to talk more about this because on the front page of the Mirror, don't use our flag to divide us, says Gary Neville. GB News beat you to it, the Daily Mirror. This is Alex Armstrong tonight, only on GB News.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Every Sunday from 11, join Michael Portillo.
There will be topical discussion, looking at the week before and the week to come. So kick back and relax at 11 a.m. on Sundays on GB News with me, Michael Portillo. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
So, it is really, really tough, but it's also tough for people who are blind, people who are like pushing buggies, wheelchair users. I mean, my late father was a wheelchair user, and, back in the day, we'd have to sort of get him off the road, and then we'd be in the road, and then we'd have to get him back up onto the pavement again. And that's a big price to pay for somebody who's not prepared to walk around the block and thinks they have the right to, park on the pavement.
Maria, how do you think it should work? Do you think this needs to be a national ban on pavement parking, or do you think it should be led by councils, so councils decide area by area where you're allowed to park?
I think it should be a mix. I think what we should do is have a blanket ban on pavement parking, and then what councils can do is, there's certain roads, I mean, there's one here in Exeter where the road is very narrow and the pavements are very wide. I'm not quite sure why, but, it's perfectly safe to park on there. So, a street like that would be fine. And I think one of the problems at the moment is legislation. It's just so unclear because there's this rule which says that you must not park on the pavement in London and Scotland, but you should not do it elsewhere. So it becomes a bit of a moral maze. And I think that, just to make that clearer about what people should do, because a lot of people sort of think, well, I can do it. And of course, traffic wardens can't do anything about it.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Miriam, you can't be serious. Scrapping the triple lock on state pensions? Madness.
Andrew, we just can't carry on pretending. The numbers just don't add up. We've got to be honest with people. We've got to face the facts. That's what people want.
Well, that's what you get on GB News and on Britain's Newsroom. Lively debates, lively conversation.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first, and we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. I've got two new front pages here for you. Let's start with the Daily Mirror, and of course, they're running with their bestie, Gary Neville. His plea: don't use our flag to divide us. Rip it down instead, like he did. That's what he did. That's what he would do. Clearly, we've also got Thomas Skinner on the top there, haven't they? Getting the boot. The Daily Mail: PM's security chief faces MPs grilling over China spy scandal. It's heating up. It's heating up. The top there of the Daily Mail, really interesting. I think because I just want to get the panel's opinion on this. It says, my husband has cheated on me at least 3 times, but he earns so much I won't ever leave him. Who's the worst one here, Adam? The husband cheating or her?
Oh, yeah. The husband's going to cheat on her again, probably, because she said madness like that. I mean, I've got no sympathy for people that want to air their dirty laundry like this.
Yeah, bonkers, isn't it? Bonkers.
Things happen in marriages, but people do not need to hear that.
Yeah, Chloe, what do you make of it? Who's worse, her or him?
I think they've both got, but it depends on the circumstances, right? So I think when men cheat, a lot of the time it's a trauma response. It comes from a place of insecurity. And if a man recognises that and says, I'm going to go to therapy, I'm going to try and best to sort it out, and he may make a couple of other mistakes along the way, but he's actively working on the issues, then maybe you would stay with him. But if he's just like, I don't care about you, I'm going to do what I want, and you stay just because you think the money's good, then they're both bad.
Yeah, Samuel, you got any thoughts?
I want to make a podcast of this woman. All I would say is that I hope that she knows her worth, and it's definitely greater than his, whatever it is.
There you go. I mean, this is difficult, isn't it? Because affairs are quite commonplace, aren't they? They are commonplace in society. I think a poll found, 50% of men anonymously admitted to having affairs or cheating at least. But then to say, do you know what? I don't care because I'm getting money. I'm basically, I don't know whether she's living off him. I can only read the front page here, but she's saying, it doesn't really matter. I won't leave him because of his money. I think you're just asking for it at that point. I really do. I think you're basically just saying, do you know what? Go on and cheat again because I'm not going anywhere anyway. And to put it on the front page of the Daily Mail, that's bonkers. I hope it's an anonymous piece. I really do, Adam, because...
No. Well, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, who's the top? Who are the two people there? Is that them?
I don't know.
That's what it makes it look like.
It does make it look like that. And they could just be like, what do you call it? Random pictures, I'll be horrified if they just get you off the internet and whack you on the front page.
And if they've got kids, poor kids having to read that. That's all I will say, you know.
Yeah, totally.
It's not needed.
Well, listen, I've got a boatload of news. I really want to talk about Gary Neville again because I think this front page is a disaster. And is there a spy issue here? Has Keir Starmer got another massive issue on his hands with this spy story, this China spy story? Is Keir Starmer going to be in trouble again? He cannot keep out of the front pages, can he, at the moment? And by the sounds of it, the Daily Telegraph running this, the Daily Mail, PM security chief faces MPs grilling over China's spy scandal. This could really blow up, couldn't it? Listen, loads more to bring you on Alex Armstrong tonight's late edition. But first, we're going to get you weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening, welcome to your latest GB News weather from the Met Office. After a stormy start to the weekend, the north-south split that we saw last week is going to return as we head into the new working week. It's all thanks to high pressure building down to the south of the UK. We'll continue to see some weather fronts just skirting across the very far north, bringing some further cloud and outbreaks of rain, particularly across western parts of Scotland as we head through the end of Sunday. This perhaps turning heavy at times in places, but mostly light, persistent rain and drizzle across western hills. Across much of England and Wales, though, generally a drier night to come, plenty of clear spells on offer and perhaps turning a little chilly in some rural spots in the very far south. Temperatures could be dropping down into the low single figures. A milder start then, though, across the very far north, particularly if you're stuck underneath that cloud and rain, and quite a damp start to the new working week across western parts of Scotland. We'll continue to see those outbreaks of rain, persisting through much of the day. It'll perhaps be a little bit drier across eastern parts of Scotland, though still rather cloudy, and a cloudy start to the day across much of Northern Ireland and Northern England too. Some low cloud and mist and murk is possible over the hills, but any mist and fog that we might see developing under those clear skies overnight across much of England and Wales will clear relatively quickly through the morning, leaving a dry and bright start for many places in the south. That north-south split then continues as we go throughout much of Monday. Outbreaks of rain continuing across western parts of Scotland through the afternoon, but the best of any prolonged sunshine definitely across the south and the southeast. And temperatures will be up a little on Monday compared to what we saw over the weekend. 20, 21, perhaps even 22 degrees across the southeast, and even across the eastern parts of Scotland we could see into the low 20s. Tuesday is another damp start across the very far north. An area of rain sinks its way south and eastwards as we go towards the afternoon, perhaps turning a little brighter in the very far northwest, but a bit more cloud on offer across much of England and Wales. It's then turning settled as we head through the second half of the week, but after a warmer day on Monday, those temperatures are going to return closer to average.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
I've got all your front pages to bring you. Gary Neville, the front page of the Daily Mirror, the useful idiot himself. Don't use our flag to divide us. That's what it's there for. It's meant to be a dividing, a unifying thing, our flag, Gary, not the ones you tear down from your building sites. Daily Mail, the Prime Minister in trouble again, now over China. His top security chief, facing scrutiny. Can he stay out of the news for one scandal for at least a week? Kemi Badenoch, is the Tory party over? Does anyone care? Their party congress is going on. So much to dig into. I'll see you in just a couple of minutes.
You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. This brand new 2025 Badenoch Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there short and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
evening, it's 11 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong and this is Alex Armstrong Tonight, late edition. New powers to police protest. As I warned earlier, the Home Secretary is planning on new policing powers to ban protests. But be warned. Plus,
we have to show that we have learned from the policy mistake of letting bureaucrats decide the immigration system. But put simply, we didn't achieve enough.
Do you think the Tories have learnt from their mistakes? Another pledge today from the Tories as they vow to slash, get this, £300 billion from Britain's welfare bill, as Mel Stride, the Shadow Chancellor, says we can't keep spending money we don't have. Also, the Prime Minister's security faces a grilling from MPs over the China spy scandal as they want answers over why the case was dropped. Also joining me to talk about all this news, political commentator Chloe Dobbs, comedian Paul Cox, and political commentator Samuel Sweek. And I can't wait to get your reactions to the front page of the Daily Mirror and Gary Neville.
The division that's being created is absolutely disgusting. Mainly created by angry, middle-aged white men.
I have got all your front pages here for you, and what a variety we have this evening. Let's start off with